Hey everyone, welcome to the final build update for Guardian Skeleton Mage as my league starter for 3.22 Trials of the Ancestors. This was by far my best league starter of the league, so I thought I'd do a couple more content on it just to wrap up and really put a bow on this build for the league start. So see in the background we have the Feared, basically was the last big piece of content I had to do in the game. And you'll notice I die once completely by player error. I'm not very good, but the build was perfect. I ran straight into a ball. Other than that, build was actually awesome. I'm actually just using the mapping version of the build. I didn't even bother switching out the gem sockets. And build felt super good. I'm going to go over everything I liked about it. There were a couple of things I didn't like about it. I'll mention that as well. But overall, the build was super, super comfortable. I'm going to share POB in this video. Just kind of the last final updates, any gems I've changed. So if you like this kind of content, if you've enjoyed this series so far, do me a huge favor, click the like button and the subscribe button down below. It means a ton to me. Other than that, we're gonna watch this Feared finish up here. We'll see the sick loot we get dropped, but this was my last Atlas point. This build got every single Atlas point, all the bosses, it did everything except Ubers. So, pretty exciting, and the screen clearing damage was a treat for me. That being said, let's jump into where the build is at. Alright, as promised, let's talk about this build. We're level 96, pull up the character sheet here. That's important to me because that's probably the most I've played League Starter 2 in a long time. Level 96 is pretty high, and see that we're almost halfway to 97. Character just wouldn't die most of the time. Time of Need is probably one of the most busted things I've ever seen. It's just you just full heal and cleanse every 4 seconds. It's pretty insane. If you're not playing with Time of Need, I highly suggest it. I'll talk about all my ascendancies real quick though. We'll start with the gear. I think that is probably the most important thing people want to know about for a league start build. This build went way past what I would consider a league start build. That's pretty obvious when you go and look at my summon skeletons. Level 29, 28 levels, or 8 extra levels from outside sources is pretty insane for a league starter. A lot of this gear ended up crazy. I think I crafted every single piece of it though, except for maybe one. That's pretty cool. We'll start with the wand. It's the one I get questioned about the most. I bought this fracture on day 1, spent all of my initial currency doing the craft. I have a video of how to craft this exact wand in my channel, so make sure to go check that out if you are interested in crafting something like this. But this took me all the way to, as you can see, doing the Feared. So it was super good. Helmet, a +2 minion helmet. We got super lucky. We bought this on trade. It had an open prefix. I fixed this all up. It was pretty good. We bought it with just the life and +2 minion gems for pretty cheap, and I did some crafting on it to get it nice and pretty like this. So +2 minion was a huge buff to the build. This fractured spirit shield, I bought this pretty cheap beginning of the league as well. Hit an insane roll with a random essence. So yep. That's how most of the crafting is gonna go for this, just as a record. Anything I crafted was pretty insanely lucky, but you can take what you can get. This is the only thing I straight up bought off of trade. It's a pretty horrible amulet, but it has +1 level skill gems. That's all I was looking for, and I was able to craft life onto it. 6-link flesh crafter, of course. Starting a build that has required uniques was a little scary going in, so I was playing a reworked ascendancy on a build that has required uniques. It gets a little worrying that you kind of need the currency right away, so you can buy the stuff before it skyrockets in price. We're able to do that though. Ended up on the 6-link flesh crafter. I played the entire game on a 5-link up until Uber Elder, so it was perfectly fine on a 5-link flesh crafter, and I would do that again. It was perfectly fine. Just a generic kind of bone ring. This randomly dropped in Act 10. I specifically remember saying when it dropped, I'm using this till red maps, and well, I have never replaced it. It's not super good, but it's fine. Amethyst ring. This was just to fill out all of my stats. Get some chaos res. That's the only reason this is on the build. So just some random minion gloves. I bought the fracture, used minion essences. This one looked pretty good, so I stopped. Pretty much the same story with the boots. I think actually I raw crafted these. They're just raw crafted boots. And then a Stygian Vise. Never dropped a good Darkness Enthroned. I refused to pay 3 divines or 2 divines, whatever it was, for a 95% plus Darkness Enthroned. Ended up with this, and just a random minion jewel. I was super not into crafting jewels for this league, so I just ended up I'd be oh, it has 2 good minion things, I'll throw it on. It's probably fine. And that's how most of my jewels ended up being. Lastly, or whatever, Roomies is good. Use Roomies on a block build. So More importantly, the thing I want to talk about is probably my last setup for my 6th link. I ended up using greater multiple projectiles and return proj with the standard spell echo, summon skeletons, pierce, awaken minion damage. Return proj and GMP is by far the best mapper. It is absolutely screen clearing. Just absolutely insane, actually. I would, however, not use this for bosses. You probably saw in the intro video. Basically, I couldn't see the ground most of the time. Any boss that did anything on the ground, I couldn't see. Uber Elder was a pain. You couldn't really see when he started doing his circle thing and when to run back in. Cyrus fight was a mess. Pretty much every fight would be is a mess with these two on. I did almost everything except for the feared and mapping at the end of the league with fresh meat and volley instead of GMP and return proj. As you can see, the colors don't match, so I didn't want to recraft my flesh crafter just for this. But fresh meat was the new support gem. It was really, really good. Definitely need to use it with Blessed Rebirth. Definitely need to get some increased duration. That's what like my original PoE for this build looks like. The PoE release and passive skill tree release for this version of the build is more focused on mapping and using return proj. Return proj was super fun on this build. I highly recommend it as long as you can deal with not being able to see the ground. Because literally, if you with return proj, Sniper's Mark, basically your entire screen's covered with projectiles all the time. And it's absolute insanity though, and it was really fun to play. Let's talk passive tree real quick. Let's talk ascendancy nodes first. I mean, they're pretty obvious. I would consider. I think everybody considers these 3 a core. Radiant Crusade ended up being actually quite good. It's probably the best leveling ability in the game. Unwavering Crusade, the whole Elemental Relic's also super good. Bastion of Hope with shield charge. This was always up, so it was always plus 25 chance block, attack, spell damage. Then I use Time of Need. Don't use Radiant Faith. This is really bad. I know it's like really bad. Grants armor equal to 25% of your reserve mana. At best, you're reserving like 1,000 mana. Oh, I'm reserving exactly 1,000 mana. Convenient. That's 250 armor and 100 energy shield. I would not do that. Time of Need saved me way more often than 250 armor and 100 energy shield did. So, there you go. That's my 2 cents on that. Other than that, this is the tree we ended up on. This is the, I would consider like the non-fresh meat version. We got a pretty decent 8 passive cluster. We got Renewal, Vicious Bite. Ideally, we would have had Raise and Pillage as well, but build didn't even need it. Renewal, Feasted Fiends, Renewal, Blessed Rebirth, of course, and our Enduring Composure. I mean, that was basically the build. I'll put the POB link down below. I didn't do any like configuration, but leave it down there for you can see what kind of items I ended up on, see the passive tree I ended up on, and this is the exact build that just cleared the feared. You saw in the intro video, and it was really, really, really good. It also was like the best, probably one of the best League Start mappers I played that wasn't specifically meant to be a mapper. With return proj, GMP were screen clearing well off screen. I farmed Blight for like an entire day. Blight farming was actually super fun. I could just basically put my minions down, walk away for 40 seconds until I had to refresh my minions. Super good. It was super profitable as well. Other than that, build was a massive success in my opinion. If you played around with it and you enjoyed it, that's awesome, and I super want to hear that down in the comments. Other than that, we're jumping into our second character. We probably saw on the channel we are doing a Tornado Shot Deadeye Magic Find build, which is drastically different than what this build does. Basically, we're doing some Legion farming, blasting maps, trying to get awesome loot, where this build was more bossing. Some a little bit mapping, but bossing, so we're transitioning to a build that's like complete opposite. I think it's super interesting. If you want to see some more content like that, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. Like this video, it means a ton to me. And then we're not going to get rid of this character, so if I ever do something like bossing stuff, I'll definitely bring this character back, as this was probably one of the best bossing League starters I've played in a long time. I mean, it's not seismic trap good, but it is very good for bossing, and that was a huge plus. Anyways, I've rambled on long enough about this build. Thank you for sticking around, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.